Oh, great. Thank you. So about my firm, The Dream Catchers, it is primarily an education consulting firm and we are based out of Mumbai. Our mission is to assist students in realizing their dream of obtaining a quality and best fit education. So how do we do that? So as you would agree, for grade 9th and 10th, the immediate need is of stream and subject selection. And for grade 11th and 12th, it's primarily the course and college selection. So with our services, starting with the psychometric assessment, and somewhere in this session, we'll also give you some understanding of psychometric assessment. So basically, it helps us in understanding the aptitude of the student, their interest, their personality traits, and on the basis of this aptitude, personality, and interest, a detailed career fitment report is generated, which really helps the student in understanding what are the top 10 career clusters which are most aligned to his aptitude, personality, and interest type. Again, that's a starting point, but through our individualized and personalized counseling, we try to provide a detailed action plan and also the career pathways which a student can explore further. On the higher education and admission guidance side, we provide profile assessment and building services, country and course shortlisting services, best fit college mapping, letter of recommendations on statement of purpose guidance, scholarship guidance, interview guidance or interview preparation, as well as visa guidance too. So with that, let me give you some understanding of the session lineup today. So how we would spend our next 45 minutes to 1 hour. So as you know, we'll be speaking about the career in journalism and touching upon the specialization track being business journalism. We'll talk about the day-to-day roles and responsibilities, the skills and competencies which are needed to thrive in this profession, the ideal subject combinations, the ideal extracurricular activities, common college pathways, also known as entry pathways, top colleges in India and across the globe, top recruiters in India and across the globe, and we are keeping the best for the last, which is the fireside chat with Reema Tendulkar, who is an accomplished business generalist. So we'll also keep some time for Q&A, and you can keep posting your questions in the Q&A or chat box, and we'll try to pick questions from there depending upon the time we have in hand. And also we might take few questions from the audience directly, again, depending upon the time we have in hand. Okay, so moving on, let's just begin with a small quiz. So I would request all the participants to please go to this site called www.menti.com and use the code 17825396. I repeat, 17825396. Okay. While you check this, I'll just stop my screen share. Some of the folks are messaging me that they are in the waiting room. Okay, I'll just stop my screen share for a minute. Okay. Okay, I can see everyone has joined in. Maybe some are facing certain issues. Yeah, Ms. Jyoti will take few questions at the end. Okay, let me again do the screen share here. Just 1 second. Okay, let me know whenever you can see menti.com instruction board. So are you all able to go to menti.com and use this code 17825396? Okay, that's okay. If the site is not getting loaded for some of you, just drop your comment in the chat box. So if you can see the question, what are few of the responsibilities of a generalist when reporting a news story? Go ahead and put your answers, please. And if you're facing any issue, yeah, we can see some of the responses coming in. Thank you. Yeah, timeliness, truth, facts, excellent. Great. So yeah, these are some of the responsibilities, and let us again go back to our main deck so that I can carry on with the other points in the presentation. So now, primarily for all of us to be on the same page, and let me just move this aside. I'm just trying to put it back in the presentation mode. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so what exactly is journalism? Journalism is the collection, verification, and dissemination of news and information through various mediums. Now, popular specialization tracks in the field of journalism are business, sports, fashion, and public affairs. Business is something which we'll touch upon in greater detail shortly. Sports, also, I think many of you might be sports enthusiasts, so you would know a little bit about it. Fashion journalism, quite popular these days. Public affairs is not that known, so I'll just give you some detail around it. Public affairs journalism is reporting local and state news, including activities of the state legislature, local government, courts, and the impact of the national and international events on local and global affairs. That's what is public affairs journalism. Talking about business journalism, it is that field of journalism which is focused on reporting the news on business, economic, financial market, companies, and industry. What does a business journalist do? They cover a wide range of topics, including corporate earnings, mergers and acquisitions, economic trends, and financial markets. So with that, let's move to this very important slide for today. For those of you who are considering making a career in journalism and specifically in business journalism, this is very important to pay attention to. So talking about the roles and responsibilities, the primary role and responsibility is gathering information on financial and business news, conducting interview with industry experts, analysts. If we talk about here in India, analyst on Dalal Street. If we take example of US, analyst on Wall Street, corporates and corporates representatives, analyzing market trends, economic indicators, and financial data, presenting information in a concise and unbiased manner, very important, publishing articles and reports on business-related topics. Let's move to the skills and competencies. And if you try to just map these skills and responsibilities with the skills and competencies with the roles and responsibilities, it will make a greater sense for you. Research skills, very important. You need to dig into varied topics from varied sources and from valid sources itself. Interviewing skills, asking the right questions to the interviewer and posing the right questions in the right manner, very important. Listening skills, you should be able to observe the information and really make a good sense out of it. As I mentioned, asking the right questions, but many a times asking the thorny question, or another way, asking the difficult questions. Communication skills, I would say that in today's era, there is rarely a career which doesn't need good communication skills, but it's all the more needed in journalism. Storytelling skills, being able to package the news in a good story format is something which is very much needed. Being detail oriented, getting into the weeds of things, yes, you should build that skill for sure. Voracious reader, reading a lot, as I mentioned, like reading on different topics, making sense of it, very much needed. Language skills, if you're thinking of your broadcasting medium as English, you should be good in that language. Even other vernacular languages, like in India, there are a lot of languages which are spoken. It's a known fact. And globally as well, there are so many languages. So if you really are competent in different languages, you're broadening your spectrum of broadcasting the news. Media ethics, very much needed. Digital literacy, yeah, again, in today's era, there will not be any profession where you needn't be digitally sound, right? Here also, you need digital skills. On-air presence, specifically for those journalists who are going on TV or on radio, they really need to know how to carry themselves well, okay? Moving on to ideal subjects to study. Now, I would like to mention one thing here, that these are ideal subjects, not mandatory. So journalism as a career is a neutral career. What do I mean by that? You can take journalism as a profession, whether you are from science stream, whether you are from commerce stream, whether you are from art stream, and in these days of NEP era, even the mix of subjects, right? So if you pick these subjects, it will form a strong foundation for you to pursue this career and thrive in this career. So subjects like English, subjects on the social science side like anthropology, sociology, political science, mathematics and statistics, it's very important for those folks who are planning specifically for business journalism, because there is a lot of number crunching which is needed. There's a lot of data interpretation and data analytics which is also needed. Subjects from humanities sides, be it literature or be it philosophy. Moving on to ideal extracurricular activities. Again, these are ideal, not mandatory. It's not that if you haven't taken these extracurricular activities, you don't stand a chance in journalism. Nothing like that. Again, it will act as a strong foundation for you. So these days, schools offer Model United Nations platform. Consider joining it. Debating society, besides improving your oratory skills, it helps in the research skills as well. Public speaking and Toastmasters Club, joining business, economics, and finance club, either in your school or in your community, joining the school newspaper team, very good. Blogging or writing on varied platforms like Medium, etc. So these days, it's very easy to publish content and also get feedback. So try doing that. Sports, sports is known for building physical fitness, but I would say even for mental resilience or mental agility, which is very much needed in this profession, you should take sports, some kind of sports in your extracurricular activity. Learning a new language, we have touched upon this earlier. It's again very important so that your spectrum is broadened as well. Moving on, it's time for another quiz again. So I hope now some of you got familiar with menti.com. So go again to menti.com and use this code 42676112. 42676112. And if any of you are facing any issue in terms of logging into menti.com, please share your responses on the chat window here. For my other question, I got a lot of responses. So let me just move to the second one. So I'll just wait. Oh, I'm seeing few responses coming in already. Great. Nice. Yes. So we want to know whether psychometric assessments provide objective data about an individual psychological profile, whether it's a right statement, whether it's true or false. I think many of you are having some indication what is psychometric assessment. Okay, I can see few responses. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So in the interest of time, I'll quickly go back to our slide again. I'll let you know why I was really asking you this question. So just a second. Okay, so psychometric assessment, as many of you rightly said, true about that statement. I will just try to give you some more information about it. It's a standardized test or evaluation designed to measure an individual psychological trait, abilities, aptitudes, or personality characteristics. These assessments are typically used in various contexts. Here, we are using in terms of education and specifically career counseling. And these are designed to provide objective data about an individual psychological profile. These assessments, very importantly, follow standardized procedures and scoring methods, aiming to minimize subjective biases and provide reliable and valid measurements. So when it comes to journalism, I wanted to give all of you, all the participants, especially the students here, what kind of aptitude is needed, what kind of personality traits are needed, what is the interest type which is needed for journalism as a career. So verbal, specifically, we are talking about English verbal aptitude here, and reasoning, it should be in high range. But when it comes to mechanical, which is more around understanding of machines, and spatial, which is more around understanding of visual patterns or so, it should be okay even if that is in low range. When it comes to numerical, especially for business journalism, medium range is something which is needed. From a personality standpoint, emotionally, you should be resilient, calm. From a learning orientation side, you should be experimental. You should have a balanced personality in terms of not being too competitive, not being too cooperative, being focused and being organized. And also, again, not being an introvert or an extrovert, again, a balanced personality trait there. When it comes to interest type, artistic, maybe from the sense of being creative, being expressive, enterprising, being able to influence, being energetic, investigative, very important, being research oriented, being curious, social to an extent. But when it comes to realistic and conventional, which is being like more hands-on or being like more careful, it's okay if your interest type is not aligned towards that. So now with this, you can see what all, once you get that assessment done, you can also see where all you need to work upon, or are you rightly aligned with this profession or not. Okay. Moving on, let's talk about the common entry pathways or professional courses in India for journalism. So first, very common pathway is that in 11th and 12th, you take any subjects from social science or humanities stream. Then in your bachelor's, you pursue journalism or mass media related courses like Bachelor's of Communication and Journalism, Bachelor of Mass Media, Bachelor of Journalism, Bachelor of Journalism and Mass Communication. And then you start a training or internship with a business news channel, financial publications, business magazines, and some of these institutions which observe people from journalism background. From a second pathway standpoint, you consider taking any subject in your 11th and 12th, then pursue some of the courses which I have already mentioned, any of that, but you do your master's in journalism or mass communication as well. So you complete your master's degree. Now, third pathway is again, take any subject stream. You do your bachelor in any subject or in any language, but then you take your master's, maybe specifically in business journalism. Okay, that will be a core specialization track. The other pathway is you build your background in finance, economics, or business. Again, you take any subject stream during 11, 12, but consider taking business, economics, or finance specific bachelor courses, or even doing courses like CFA. And post that, you can do your master's in business journalism. So once your education track is over, try to target securing jobs at business news channels, financial publications, financial news agencies, business magazines, digital outlets, or financial institutions. Okay, so that's where it could be your entry pathway. Now, from India, moving on to other countries which are renowned for journalism courses. So there are 4 countries which are renowned for journalism courses: US, Canada, UK, and Australia. And as you can see on this slide, there are multiple courses at the undergraduate level, even at the postgraduate level. And some of the specialization tracks being business journalism being offered in postgraduate courses as well. So this will give you a good sense of what's the flavor of these courses available across the group. Okay, now you can see UK offers maximum variations. Now, if you want to understand, okay, what's the core subjects, what's the elective subjects, we can definitely give you that idea as well. And if you want to really target your profile for these courses, just get in touch with us. We will help you understand how you can go about it. Okay. Moving on, I also wanted to help all the students here with some of the top colleges in journalism. In India, it's Asian College of Journalism, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Indian Institute of Journalism and New Media, Delhi College of Arts and Commerce, and even many colleges under Delhi University, they offer courses related to journalism. Again, these are not all the colleges. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are top colleges in journalism and colleges which have good rankings. In US, Northwestern Medill School of Journalism, Berkeley Journalism, Columbia Journalism School, Missouri School of Journalism, Canada, Toronto Metropolitan University, University of British Columbia, University of Concordia, University of Toronto. In UK, City University of London, University of Sheffield, University of Leeds, University of Birmingham, and Australia, which I also mentioned, also offers good courses in journalism. Universities like University of Melbourne, University of Queensland, Monash University, and University of Sydney. Again, how to build your profile to target these universities and those specific journalism courses, just reach out to us and we will be happy to assist you there. Moving on, I also wanted to give some information to all the students here, like after completing your journalism courses, which all companies or corporates you can start working with. So when it comes to business news channel, and as you can see on this slide, all big corporate logos here, CNBC TV 18, ET Now, even CNN Business, from a financial publication standpoint, Business Standard, Financial Express, Wall Street Journal, some of the popular news agencies like Reuters, Bloomberg, Dow Jones, business magazines here in India like Business Today, or globally like The Economist, digital media outlets, lot of digital media outlets there, popular ones like Your Story, The Ken, The Morning Context here in India, or even Business Insider globally. Financial institutions like ICICI Bank, Axis Bank in India, or even globally Deutsche Bank. So they observe people from journalism background to work in their PR and media department specifically. So that's also where you can start working. So I know I spoke at length today, and you all might be waiting for this fireside chat as such. So I do see Reema as well, who has joined our call today. So Reema, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So welcome to our career awareness session today. Thank you so much for taking out time. And for the entire audience, I'll just give a brief intro of Reema. She's an accomplished business journalist, a young and dynamic anchor, and editor with CNBC TV 18. She has been with CNBC for almost 14 plus years now, and there has been many awards and accolades under her belt. Last year, she was the recipient of English Journalism 40 under 40. So without further ado, let us kickstart our fireside chat with her. We are very excited to have you here, Reema. Thank you so much. How are you doing
wonderful. It's so wonderful to be here, Surbhi, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I think it's a fantastic platform. I was listening into the presentation, and you really have great insight into the field of journalism. I almost want to ask you, were you a journalist at some point of time? Very comprehensive, very thorough. And this is one of those scarce professions. So it's great that you're giving the children a peep in the door. So thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that from you. And I'm here to help students like really get more informed while they are choosing their career. It's a very important decision.
I agree. As a mother of two, I can imagine myself listening to these conversations a few years down the line. Right now, my kids are small, but eventually. So please keep up with this for the next decade.
For sure. Okay, so let's start with our first question for you. And I'm just trying to bring you in the frame. So just give me a minute. I'm just trying to figure that out.
Let me just try and make my frame also a little better.
One second. I don't know. I can't see you in frame yet. I have just.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Let me try it one more time. Now I can. Okay, great. So here goes my first question to you, Reema. So what really inspired you to pursue a career in business journalism?
Surbhi, I wish there was a fancy answer to this. Like, an apple fell on my tree and then there was this eureka moment. But the truth is, it was just luck by chance. Um, After engineering, I'd started working in Edelweiss, and the CNBC TV 18 was on through the day, on mute. But I used to see these young people, they look very impressive, they look very important. And I was a naive 22-year-old. So I applied to the channel. I did my interviews, the audition, and I got in. And the rest they say is history. So it's actually a very simple way that I applied and got in.
Wow, nice, nice. Great, good to hear that. So I think it would be helpful for all the students here to really understand from you, like, about your job as a business journalist and an anchor with CNBC TV 18.
Okay. So, what you need to realize that the job of a business journalist, whether you're an anchor or you're a researcher or you're a reporter, is basically to cover the stock market and corporate news. Now, stock markets are live from 9:15 to 3:30 p.m. That is your trading hours. So programming typically begins at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. So our job is to cover everything that impacts corporate India and the companies listed here and the stock market. So that begins with the US market. So while everyone is sleeping and when they wake up in the morning, they switch on the news to tell you what happened in the United States. Did the Dow Jones rise? Did the NASDAQ fall? Did crude prices rise? Was there an increase in federal rate? Did SVB Bank collapse? So basically, we need to cover global news, all the important global news, right? US, Europe, what's happening in the Asian markets, whether China has gone ahead and raised interest rates. That's point number one. Secondly, you also need to be aware of the Indian economy. So whether it's the way rupee is moving, or it's the inflation data, the current account deficit data, because all this will impact, say, the rupee. If the rupee becomes weaker, it's positive for Indian exporters, which are again listed on the exchanges. So there's a direct linkage between what's happening to India's sovereign, India's macros, and how it affects the Indian stock market. Thirdly, you also need to keep yourself abreast with the government announcements. Okay. Now, that could be whether there is a PLI scheme, for instance, certain incentives given to any sector. You need to keep track of that. And finally, you need to know, at least to some extent, about the individual companies which are listed on the stock exchange. Okay. So these are the broad things that matter to a stock market. And these are the things that as a researcher, as a reporter, or as an anchor, you need to cover. Now, I'm in the stock market team, so I'm best placed to talk about, what happens in the morning from 7:30 to 4 p.m. So I have 3 daily shows, which means 2.5 hours every day I'm on TV live. This is not pre-recorded. There is no teleprompter, which is telling you this is what's happening. This is the question that you need to ask. It's live. And for you to visualize what exactly it means, think of yourself as a Harsha Bhogle and a cricket commentator. If tomorrow he is the commentator for the CSK versus Gujarat Titans final, he can't prepare in advance. He's not going to know if Gill is going to hit another century. Just like that, we can't predict what news is going to break. We can't predict whether the Nifty is going to go up 100 points or it's going to go down 100 points, right? So, and considering there are many variables which impact the stock market, it's hard to prepare everything in advance. So your best bet is that you keep reading. You will not know it all, but you should know at least a base amount for you to talk sensibly about it, right? So that's what an anchor does. He has to sit in front of the channel. He sit in front of the camera. There will be co-anchors with you, and you have to cover that 1 hour. In that 1 hour, anything can happen. Any news can break. Some corporates are fixed. You need to interview those corporates. You could also be a part of the research team, which is not fully front-facing, but you have to come on the camera. Where now, as I'm a part of the research team as well, so I cover technology. So any technology news for the channel, it's my job. It's imperative on me to provide the right research to whoever the anchor is. Even if I'm not hosting the show, someone else is, I have to provide them information related to that. I have to stand up and talk about it. And thirdly, there is also a reporting team. So they are reporters who go up to companies, say in a press conference, they ask questions. So and they try and get a little more investigative. They're supposed to try and get breaking news. So that's basically what the crux of the job is. talk, understand what impacts the markets and talk about it in an anchor role, in a researcher role, or in a reporter role.
Great. Yeah, it sounds really exciting, and at the same time being on the feet all the more, right?
Yes, you have to be. You have to think on your feet all the time, all the time. You have no lead time. It's not that we get news in advance that Infosys is going to report a 5% jump in profitability, and then I can prepare my research around it. No, I'm going to come to know with everyone else. The only difference is I have to react the very second, that very second. I cannot say that, oh, give me 5 minutes, let me just go through it and then come on air. So we have to react to what we call breaking news.
Got it. Reema, you did mention about that you did your engineering, but can you also throw some light around what other educational courses you took? I think that will help the students here.
So I'm an engineer. I'm also a CFA, and I'm also an FRM. I didn't intend to be a journalist. So these were courses. So my idea was that I'll do my journalism. I'll probably work for 2 years, go out and do my MBA abroad. So I was going to follow that set pattern. When I was intrigued by CNBC TV18, and I applied and I stayed on. And then I realized that it makes sense to bolster your CV with some additional degrees instead of just being a graduate. Since I didn't want to quit my job to do an MBA, since things were going well with CNBC TV18. So I did my CFA and FRM. But you know what? I know a lot of people who are either MBAs, who've done masters. Some of them have done BMS. Some of them have just done, in arts. So the entry barrier actually is quite low. Anyone can get in. So, I think that's what you need to know, that you don't have to necessarily follow a particular stream to get in. Unlike, say, a doctor or a lawyer. Tomorrow I can't get up and say I want to, practice law, right? I need to understand section 1 to 2000. But here, this is relatively easier to get your foot in the door. So as I said, I have done engineering and some others, but I know people who've done BMS, BBA, MBA. There's a CA in my office as well, who's also an anchor team. So that's in terms of the education. The career trajectory, though, is very different because CNBC TV18 only has 9 anchors. At best, there will be 10 anchors at any point of time, because the number of trading hours or the number of hours that we go on air is only 7:30 to 4 o'clock. That's the stock market hours. And then there is an evening team which takes over, which covers other corporate news, economy, etc. So at any point of time, we don't need more than 9 or 10 anchors. Currently, we have only 9 anchors. So getting yourself picked from that entire list and making it to the anchor role is what is difficult. And it's also unpredictable. So unlike when you join a bank, where after spending 2 years as an analyst, you get promoted, you become an associate. Again, you get promoted, and most of the people will get promoted. They become an AVP, then they become a VP, then they become an executive, and it goes on. Here, because there are such limited slots, your best case, or at least this is what I've seen in the last 15 years of being at CNBC TV18, that you get your break only when someone quits and there is a vacancy. So very rarely have I seen a primetime anchor being pulled off air to make space for a different person. So it's unpredictable. You could have spent 10 years in the channel, but maybe no one quits. Right? Maybe everyone. So you may not get your chance, or at best, maybe you'll get 30 minutes. You may get 1 hour. But for you to get a 2.5-hour show also means that someone else has to step down, the person who's currently doing that 2.5-hour show. So the progress here is a little unpredictable, is what I would like to say.
Okay. Great. I think those were some good insights here. Let me move on to my next question to you. So what are the key skills and competencies required from your standpoint to be a successful business journalist?
Comprehension. People think it's about communication only. It's about reading from a teleprompter, but business journalism is anything but reading from a teleprompter where someone gives you a script. It's not like what you see in any of the newsroom shows. that where someone hands you a paper, you walk in all important, and then you just have to, read on the go. It's not like that. We work very hard, we prepare. So you need to comprehend. Secondly, you also need to have great communication skills, because your audience is also a young 17-year-old who started dabbling in the market. You also have a savvy investor, a savvy trader whose job is markets, who's trading all day long. You also have a CEO of a company who's probably watching and knows more than you. You also have grandparents who are watching because they have nothing better to do, and they've been, they're just sitting and watching. So you have to be able to communicate with a wide range of people and engage with them. Talk to them in a manner that everyone understands. So it's got to be simple, but not too simple that you lose the viewership of your CEO. So to simply put it, I would say it's communication with comprehension, right? Remember that. It's communication with comprehension. Secondly, it's live television. You get to do it only once. You have to be prepared. There is no retake. If you make a mistake, it's there forever, right? Another thing I think I would like to say is you've got to think on your feet. News breaks. I remember one time I was, I think, 2 or 3 years in the system, maybe 3 or 4 years, I can't remember. There was this big tsunami in Japan and earthquakes. I think some of the children, would have just been born. They're not aware, but there was this big tsunami. And I kept reading, I kept talking about the tsunami. I said, oh, look, waves as high as the building have come and lashed the shore. People are being evacuated. We're still trying to assess the damage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I say, stock markets are tanking. The Nifty's down. We've got a cut of about 2% at the index level. This is a waterfall decline. Look at the reaction. And then when I got off air, I was shouted at by my editor. And he was like, Reema, do you know? And me and my co-anchor, because there's always a co-anchor for you. He's like, did you know that there are companies with plants, manufacturing plants in Japan? And both of you all didn't even mention it. And then we realized that, oh, there is a Maruti Suzuki. Suzuki is a Japanese company. So they have manufacturing plants in Japan. So they would be particularly more impacted. There are other companies with plants. So news breaks. And even though you're talking, you have to understand all the nuances of that news. And that's what I mean. You have to be able to think on your feet. So communication, comprehension, the ability to be, you don't get to do it again.
Got it. Great. Moving on to my next question, Reema. Can you share some of the challenges which you face on day-to-day basis and how you overcome that? And I know you've touched upon things here and there, but more elaborate details would really help.
I think you have to, it's just the unpredictable nature of how your career is going to shape up. I think I got lucky and I got a break in, 1.5 years, 2 years, but maybe I wouldn't have also. There is an equal probability that I wouldn't have. Was I that special that I got a chance? I don't think so. So you've got to, at some point, get lucky. And so you have to keep preparing, even though you don't know when you will get your break. You will get that opportunity. I think the bigger problem is news is 24/7, 365 days. It's overwhelming. And just the fact that you think you need to know, there is no end to it. It's never a project which you say, okay, I have done now, I have to submit it and it's over. There is that, even when you go to sleep, something is going to happen. And in the morning when you wake up, you have to know about it. You'll have to react to it. So it's very overwhelming. It can consume you. So in that sense, you've got to be very passionate about it. Third, I think it's a little inflexible. You have to be there in the morning at 7 o'clock. You can't be 5 minutes late because the show goes on air at 7:30. You can't say today, oh, it's 1st of January. I've had a late night. I want to come a little later. You can't do that. You have to be right on time. So it's a bit inflexibility. And when you do it day after day after day after day, it gets a bit tiring. I could never say as a young mother that, my child is crying. She's had fever last night. I have not slept. Can I snooze my alarm for 5 minutes? Also, you need to know that this industry doesn't have direct functional skills which can be transposed. By that, I mean that when you are a research analyst at Motilal, You can join and become a research analyst at Kotak. You can join and become at Goldman, at Morgan Stanley, right? You have analytical research skills about a particular sector, which can be transposed. A lawyer in firm A can become a lawyer in firm B. Now, here, because the general nature of the medium is such that there are a few channels, there are just two of them in business journalism, CNBC and ET now, right now. There is nowhere else to go. And it's very difficult to join any other industry. So there are particular skills which can be directly transposed. Yes, you will be hired. It's not that you won't be hired. You can be hired as the head of communications, the head of marketing, PR. You can join on the research side also. You can join as institutional equity sales. So there are opportunities, but it's not that the skills can be directly transposed. You have to evolve, learn more things. And I think finally, everyone needs to know this. You don't get paid as much as some of the other professions like bankers and lawyers and PE guys.
Okay. So from what you just mentioned around my question, just to tie back from what I was telling to students earlier, there's a lot of mental resilience or mental agility which is needed in this profession.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you touched upon the challenges. Just touch upon the bright side of things as well. Like, what are the rewards of being a business journalist and an anchor?
One, you are in a very, very unique position. Very unique. There are just 9 people who do what they do. The channel itself has a 90% market share. So wherever you go, people may recognize you. It opens doors. CEOs will get out. I've had CEOs who got out of the meeting to say hi, because I've said, if you have a meeting, but that meeting has gone on. Sometimes someone's walked out. He says, "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting." I was like, no, sir, you continue. It's okay. But, people treat you with a lot of respect.
Nice.
And you can have a great network. If you want, you build on it. Because you're constantly interacting with very bright people, the CEOs, CFOs, a lot of, and across fields, right? If you maybe pick up something which is involved in startups, if you are covering startups, you will be interacting with all the startups all the time, understanding the backstory, hanging out with them. And I think if you are also a person who does social impact stories, and if your story makes an impact, you feel good. But I think the biggest USP of this job is it's unique. It helps you build a network at a very young age.
Great to know that. Okay, so I'll move on to my next question. Since you have been with the industry for quite a long time, Reema, so how has the industry changed since you began your career, and what do you see as the future of business journalism?
One, it's not TV anymore. It's multimedia. You've got to be on TV. You've got to be on social media. You've got to be on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, on the webpage, etc. Very nimble, very agile. Your content needs to be a little different for TV, a little different for social media. So you need to be able to learn and realize how different mediums require different the content needs to be produced in a different way. The audience is also a little different. The TV audience could be different from the digital audience, and content needs to be tweaked. So I think the biggest change that we've seen is that we're no longer a TV channel. CNBC is a multimedia channel. I think that's point number one. And secondly, I think there is a lot of fear about the relevance of TV per se, because we're consuming news, we're consuming our content in very different ways. And I'm sure, I think that's a question you would be asked also, Surbhi, that, what's the future of TV? Who watches TV?
Yeah.
So here, I think TV journalism stays relevant for cricket. I mean, for any sports commentary. And secondly, it stays relevant for stock markets, because it's, in a way, it creates a moat around it. The stock market moves not only just because of news. There is, there are emotions involved which also move stocks. And I think that gets captured by, when you watch TV for a long time, and it's such a well-oiled machine, it's very hard to replicate the entire system. Now, for instance, we have tie-ups with CNBC. So we get the indices, the global indices directly from there. So the lag time, the lead and lag time between, suppose the Dow is up 1%, the US index is up 1%, we will come to know, and with just a second delay or a 2 seconds delay. But on Bloomberg as well, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you all know, but there is a Bloomberg platform that will also capture it instantaneously. But not everyone can afford a Bloomberg platform. So for those people, TV is very important. So I think TV will have its relevance. What will happen is content from TV gets posted on social media, which will then be consumed by the newer audience.
Okay.
It's like, and I think the biggest difference is when it comes to business news, is it's about people's money, your investments, your life savings are there in it. You want credibility. In social media, there is a lot of noise. So when it comes to news, people look to us to separate the noise from, to separate the fact from the noise. So I think that's where the big difference is. I think TV will stay.
Okay.
Just that you need to be multimedia and you need to be very credible, and the brand gives that credibility. So our content will be consumed on social media.
Got it. Okay. These days, Reema, artificial intelligence is the talk of the tongue, right? So with that, we just want to understand in what ways do you see the role of a business generalist actually evolving in all the response and advances to the artificial intelligence and even other related technologies? And are there any concerns or kind of potential downside to the increased use of AI in the field of business journalism, Reema?
It's very hard to say right now, Surbhi. I'm sure the likes of Prannoy Roy, I don't know if there are any parents in this, when they started TV and they started anchoring, they probably didn't even have the internet. They had to rely on their memory. Now when news breaks, I can quickly Google on the go. So, technology changes, but it's also a big enabler. Maybe AI will help in me analyzing my job a lot better compared to it being necessarily a big disruptor. And when it comes to purely ChatGPT, I don't know how many of you have used it, since that's the rage. I'm just giving an example of ChatGPT. It gives you no source. It asks you to say, put in a question. What's the benefit of demonetization? How do you think of demonetizing? It'll give you a view. You don't know whose view it is, right? But whose view it is what lends it credibility. If tomorrow you tell me, I tell you that, buy this stock, versus if the head of Motilal Oswal tells you buy the stock, you will listen to the guy who's Motilal Oswal chap. They're giving you the stock tip, right? Or a recommendation. So the source is very important, which at least right now, and ChatGPT and the likes don't have. They will give you information. They will say Kansai Nerolac is Asian Paints is a great company for XXXY reason. But I think as journalists, we tend to look at the source very important, and who says it matters, which Google gives you. Google will tell you that, this guy is saying this is good, but ChatGPT doesn't give you that source. So it's got to change. I've already seen, social media come up right in front of my eyes in the last, 1.5 decade. AI will help, but we have to learn to use AI, just be nimble constantly and keep changing. That's the name of the game.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. What advice and tips do you have, Reema, for students who are considering pursuing a career in business journalism? Like they are primarily in their high school right now, and some of them are doing their bachelor's. So how they can increase their readiness for this profession?
Right. I think what you wrote, right, for your school publication, for your college publication, participate in debates, be more comfortable in terms of speaking, explaining, thinking on the go, pick up a topic and learn to talk about it. It could be a topic of your choice. So the way I was auditioned is, they just told me, and I wasn't prepared for it. They just told me, just talk for 3 minutes on any topic. And I picked a book, one of my favorite books, and I spoke about it. So just pick up a topic and learn to practice speaking about it, using different words. So one way I learned different words is I used to see, okay, what do the seniors say for decline? Now, every day I can't go and say stock decline, stock decline, stock decline, stock decline, right? There has to be another way. I can't keep saying, there is a, stalemate, right? Then I have to keep in my head that another word for stalemate is deadlock, or an impasse. So you have to constantly improve your vocabulary, and for the words which are commonly used in your head, try and think of synonyms and keep
Okay.
them, so you can constantly use it. But I think once you get your foot in the door, be ready to walk the ropes, because you don't know when you'll get a chance to come on air and be a prime time anchor. So, and I think stick with it, right? I've just seen a lot of people come in, get out because they don't get what they expect in 6 months or 1 year. Um, yeah, every industry has pros and cons. This industry has a lot of pros. This industry has a lot of cons, but so do the others. I'm married to a lawyer. I have friends who are bankers. I have friends in the ad world. Um, every industry has pros and cons. So at least give any job that you do some time. Give it some
Okay.
time to see how it plays out.
I think these are words of wisdom for all the students out here.
I hope so.
So, Reema, we have like 7, 8 minutes left. So, I just wanted to do some fun stuff as well here. I know like it might be a lot of information for the kids. So, we'll just have a fun rapid fire rounds. Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay. So, fun fact about you, Reema.
I don't know if it's fun, but I love my coffee. I sleep at 9 o'clock. I wake up at 5 a.m. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think it's
Quite
fun. I don't think
disciplined
that
that.
you've got to be disciplined.
Nice. So, if not a business journalist, then what would you be?
Doctor.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. If you could have any one superpower, any one, what would that be?
Make more time in the day for my kids.
Okay. I
I
think
think this is
most,
what most parents want. Most moms, at least, definitely want that.
I was about to say the same. Okay. One favorite book, Reema?
Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. I think all women
Nice.
should read this book.
Yeah, it's a good one. True. I don't know how much time you get for vacations or so, but what's your favorite vacation destination, Reema?
I treasure my vacations, but my all-time favorite is Paris.
Oh, nice. That's nice. So thank you so much, Reema. I will.
Thank you. I hope this was helpful.
I'm sure if you can just stay on for a minute or two, I just
Yeah,
want to
sure.
see if there are any questions from the audience itself. Just 1 second. Yeah, so there is one, which is what are some of the most common career mistakes that, as per you, new business journalists make?
Uh, let me think. Common mistakes. Maybe being a bit impatient because you have to keep working, not knowing when you'll get that reward. So I think that's a mistake. So then there is a lot of dissatisfaction which sets in. You have to keep toiling, you have to keep moiling, uh, and just keep at it. And then eventually things do work out.
Okay, okay. There is one more question, Reema, which is what is the scope of chartered accountants in this profession? I think you touched upon it a
Yeah,
little.
one of
Yeah.
my colleagues, and she's an anchor now. She's a part of the research team and she's a primetime anchor. So one amongst the nine. And she is a CA and she's doing very well. She's thriving. She knows her numbers. She's quick with her analysis. She's fantastic. She's absolutely fantastic. So it's there is scope for CAs.
Okay, great. I think if anyone from the audience they want to ask the question right away, just raise your hand and I will unmute you. I just read 2 questions from the chat box. Okay. I don't see anyone raising hand. Okay, anyhow, so thank you so much, Reema, for your time.
Thank you for
It
inviting
was
me.
definitely an insightful conversation with you. And thank you to all the
Thank
students and
you.
parents out here for joining the session today. You can reach out to us on WhatsApp. You can give us a call. You can reach out to us via email. We are also there on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please feel to touch base with us, and we will be happy to serve you. Have a good weekend ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.